Let's talk about the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather boxing match. I think pretty much everybody unanimously agreed that on a boxing level, Floyd won the match. Floyd was clearly just the better, more skilled boxer. He landed more hits, he just looked more confident in the ring. Logan got gassed out in like round 2 or 3, which actually kind of surprised me because I didn't really understand until watching that fight. I'm not really a person who's into like boxing or any fighting sports, but I didn't realize that size can also be a disadvantage too, right? Like Logan's bigger, sure, so he's gonna have a slightly better reach. You know, he's taller. Those are things that are gonna help him, but moving that much weight around for a long period of time is more difficult. So it's kind of a disadvantage too. I know a lot of people say Logan got knocked out and a lot of people reference this clip. I can't show it because it would get copyright claimed, but it's this clip where Floyd hits Logan, gets like a nice hit on Logan, and then like appears to, people are interpreting it as like holding him up. And I don't know, he definitely does like fall over. I don't even remember that moment from the fight when I watched it, but he didn't like fall to the ground and go completely unconscious. So I don't know, he definitely like knocked the wind out of him at the very, I don't even know what the technical term for it would be. But yeah, everybody agrees on a boxing level, unless you're completely biased, Floyd Mayweather won the fight. For sure. What I didn't like was on social media, so many people love to like talk about how the fight was boring or a waste of time or the only people who lost were the viewers. I think that's kind of like it's a really lame mentality to have. You know what I mean? Those are the same people who like tweeted out their predictions about the fight. They were super excited days ahead for it. Then they watched the entire thing and then at the very end said it was boring or rigged and that the only people who lost were the viewers. That's that like just like mob hate mentality where it's just like cool to hate stuff. That's all that is. I don't enjoy boxing. Maybe if you're super into the sport, you thought that, there wasn't enough actual boxing because Logan hugged Floyd too much. But I thought from an entertainment standpoint, it was great. It was a 6'2" YouTuber fighting a 5'8" legend in boxing. That's entertainment, right? Like I feel like people blind hate too much, man. You gotta just take it for what it is. It was a spectacle. And a lot of people don't like to admit this. And I don't like using this as like a reason for why I think Logan won, but it is cool to appreciate the fact that Logan is just like an online YouTuber content creator. And he worked himself up to a level of fame where he gets to compete in a ring with one of the greatest of all time. That's just a cool accomplishment. And I thought Logan's response at the end was like humble and nice, and he showed respect to Floyd. Floyd showed respect to him. It was cool. And a lot of people seem to think that like because they walked away with a boatload of cash, that somehow makes us the losers. You know what I mean? It's like people would only be satisfied if someone got the shit kicked out of him, which don't get me wrong. If one of them got knocked out, that would have been awesome. That's probably best case scenario. But to say that it wasn't entertaining, it's just, I don't know. I get irritated with that sort of like that whole mob hate mentality where it's just cool to hate. That really bothers me. But from an entertainment perspective, I thought it was awesome. And I guess if you look at the stats too, because there's no official scorecard and there's no official judges, there's no official ruling. But if you look at the stats, I guess, in terms of percentage of jabs hit and power, I don't know how they calculate all that stuff, but I guess Floyd definitively won. The people who were disappointed, I don't know what they were expecting that they didn't get. I guess they really wanted Logan Paul to get knocked out, which don't get me wrong, if either one of them got knocked out, personally, just for somebody who's not into the sport, who wants to see chaos, I would have loved to see Floyd get knocked out. I think we can all agree on like a causing a shitstorm level. That would be the best thing to happen. If we all want to be able to go on Twitter afterwards and watch the internet freak out, that would be the best outcome. I just think it's amazing that, a sport like that, you can be so good, you could be at the level that Floyd's at and be so talented and be so skilled that you can be, however old he is, he's like 40 something years old, that he can go up against a guy who's 6 inches taller than him, weighs over 50 pounds more, has a longer reach, and is like 20 years younger. That's so impressive. That's crazy. And you can say what you want about Floyd not even trying or, Logan being trash, but you've got to just like, the way I look at it, you just got to take it as like, it's a YouTuber fighting a professional boxer. That all by itself is cool. If we all want to find somebody to hate, to really, really hate, it'd be Jake Paul. That guy immediately went on Twitter afterwards and was like, Floyd's 50-1 now. My brother beat Floyd Mayweather. Logan Paul's the freaking bet. It's just like, Jake Paul's so unbelievably delusional, man. But he gets people to talk about him, so I guess he's winning, right? The asshole industry is unfortunately thriving. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the fight. I didn't like all the hate on Twitter afterwards of all these people who were super hyped for the fight. And it was fun to watch. I at least thought it was fun to watch. I at least got entertainment out of it. The fact that it's not cool to admit that it was entertaining, I think it's just lame. That feels like low-level middle school mentality where you're like, it doesn't feel cool to like say that something's cool or say that something was entertaining. You know what I mean? If Logan beat Floyd, then KSI's the best boxer ever? Yeah, technically speaking, right? And I love that joke too. That's funny. Technically, since Logan and Floyd tied, since it was only an exhibition match, since they tied, does that make KSI the greatest boxer of all time since he technically won against Logan? It's kind of funny. People complain when it goes the distance, and then people complain when it's over with one round. Yeah, exactly. You can't satisfy. People are always going to find something to complain about at the end of the day, right? We've got to at least acknowledge that it's cool that a YouTuber went 8 rounds, right? With Floyd Mayweather. That's just bragging rights. Haters would respond to that statement, though, and say, oh, well, Floyd let him win, and Floyd didn't go as hard as he would, and it's only an exhibition match. It didn't really matter. It's like, dude, shut up. Shut up. It's just a fight. It was a YouTuber versus a professional boxer. And I know people don't like when I use those titles either, because Logan Paul wants to consider himself an actual boxer. He did better than most human beings would. I thought the way they set up the fight was perfect, since there's no official ruling and you just let the court of public opinion decide who wins. It's almost like that decision to not have there be a judge made it better for marketing. So yeah, that's my takeaway. Would I ever box? Probably not. Fighting sports don't really interest me too much. Would I box Kenny? Oh, it's a legalized bank robbery right there. I'm joking. That's what Floyd said against Logan. No, I don't like the mentality that like the viewers somehow got scammed. And I also think it's incredibly stupid for people to think that the fight was rigged. You know what I mean? When I hear rigged, I'm assuming that people think that Logan and Floyd went into this fight both agreeing that like, okay, we're not going to knock each other out, right? Like, yeah, okay. You're dealing with two people who care very much about their pride and their image. Both of them want to maintain that, right? So both of them ideally want to be seen as the winner. There's no way either one of them go into it knowing that they're going to end in a tie. Both of them are trying hard. Both of them want to protect their pride. What you can't deny though either is that what Logan Paul and Jake Paul have done for boxing is great for publicity and great for the sport. They've definitely brought a lot more attention to the sport than would otherwise be there, right? They've shown a lot of young eyes to the sport. Maybe there's people who are fans of Logan Paul right now who are inspired to be a boxer now, who are going to grow up and try to become professional boxers or professional MMA fighters or whatever. So anyways, that concludes all of my thoughts on the fight. My big overall takeaway is I thought it was fun to watch. I don't like when people hate on it. Saying that the viewers lost just literally doesn't make sense, because it was Logan Paul fighting Floyd Mayweather. That title all by itself is not boring when you understand the context of a YouTuber with a collective, like what, 80 million followers on all his social media, fighting the greatest or one of the greatest boxers of all time. That title is funny. That sounds like something out of we live in a simulation. That happened and we live in a simulation. So I don't know. That's all I gotta say.